On tonight's edition of the Fatside, we'll run you through round 7 of the AFL's game results. We'll give you our games of the round from the round that's just been. We'll run through our best players 1 to 5 and hit a few hot topics. Bobby's going to run you through hot and cold, and I'm going to shine the spotlight on a couple of things. Let's get into it. The Fatside. My name is Jack and I'm joined here with Bobby. Bobby, how are you, mate?
Mate, I'm fantastic. I can't wait to get stuck into the round of footy that's just been and cast our eye over it.
Yes, fantastic, mate. Now, what'd you make of it, mate? Good weekend?
It wasn't a bad weekend. You and I enjoyed a night or an afternoon at the footy for the Farmers game.
Yes.
It was... the rest of the results, most of the results are pretty mediocre for me. But the country game on Sunday... was good. In true country style, I nursed a hangover for most of the day. I was feeling rougher than Liam Jones by the end of it.
Gee, didn't he cop a knock?
A serious knock.
Serious knock. Anyway, let's get straight into it. Bobby, hit us up with the game results. What just happened in round 7?
All right, well, first game of the round, we had the Collingwood Magpies taking on the Port Power. Both of us got this one wrong, Jacko.
Yes.
The end result, 108 to 69. I really thought Pendles and Treloar were probably Collingwood's best. Grundy again, playing like a midfielder once again. He had 22 touches and 6 clearances. Unfortunately, they copped a bit of an injury to Taylor Adams.
Yes.
The next game of the round, well, it was the one that neither you or I knew what result we would get. And the game pretty much played out the same way. Melbourne just overcame the Hawks 79 to 74. The Hawks forwards looked pretty good, but no real standout for Melbourne. It was kind of a team effort across the board after a sloppy first half. And then we had the Giants versus St Kilda. The Giants easily, you picked this one almost with Nostradamus precision. They came away pretty comfortable, 44-point winners, 114 to 70. Jeremy Cameron got another bag. And most of the Giants forward line kicked multiple goals.
They sure did.
And then Brisbane versus Sydney. The Brisbane Lions, they can etch in another win for this year. They're going to stay up and around the top of the ladder. 103 to 81. Zorko was pretty damn good. Neil was great too. Hewitt for Sydney had probably the best game of his career as well. Had an excellent game. Then,
hit me with a Bobby.
I can see you salivating already. Western Bulldogs versus Richmond Tigers. The Doggies ran away. Pretty comfortable winners in the end. It was a very, very good performance. 99 to 52.
Oof.
And Aaron Norton, or as you were trying to enlighten me as to his new nickname, Astro
Norton. Astronauty Norton.
Yeah, he was fantastic, and obviously we'll talk a bit about him. I thought Dunkley was pretty good, had 35 touches going at 85%.
Very good.
Bont was probably the best on, and Tim English probably almost won the ruck battle against former All-Australian in Nankervis.
Yes.
So
English looking pretty good.
He's looking good.
Yeah.
Looking like the best young ruckman in the comp, actually. I'll give you that. Then... the game that we really thought would be a 100-point blowout for some people, West Coast versus Gold Coast, it ended up being 80 to 57. Jack Darling shook off a couple of weeks of poor form. He was really good. He was very good, but overall West Coast were very unimpressive. Then North versus Carlton. Well, we caught this when we were at the pub having a few frothies, and it was a demolition, an absolute demolition. 120 to 62. Every man and his dog is talking about how pathetic Carlton were.
It was awful.
Absolutely awful.
Awful.
Dumont had the best game of his career. And young Zerha, 5 Bunnings snags.
If you don't mind.
Carlton, funnily enough.
Round 7 Rising Star nom as well to Cam Zerha.
Well deserved. They were the only home team to lose all week, Carlton.
Wow.
Believe it or not.
There you go.
And then obviously...
Great observation there, Bobby.
Yeah.
Don't mind that from you.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
And then all the game that you and I had been waiting for, right? Geelong and Essendon.
Yeah.
You called a classic.
Classic.
I was hoping for a classic. I actually tipped against my Bombers, and thank God, because we lost by 32 points.
It wasn't a classic.
It was not a classic performance by my team. I will say it wasn't really a classic performance by Geelong either, but they are a quality outfit. You know, they probably moved themselves up into, you know, being at the very top of the premiership odds.
Pretty clinical.
The scoreboard was pretty kind, 86-54. Ablett and Kelly were the best on for the Cats. Dangerfield's injury, it was really something quite noticeable out there on the ground, and anyone that had the C on him for Supercoach, 26 points, that's pretty disgraceful. Last game of the round to cap it all off. Well,
game of the round, wasn't it, Bobby?
The footy gods took a weekend off, didn't they?
Yeah.
Adelaide Fremantle, 51-34. Absolutely boring. No one stood out. Not maybe the best for Adelaide was their young ruckman, O'Brien.
Yep.
He's going pretty well. And Luke Ryan for Fremantle really stood up. But other than that, it was not much to write home about that game.
Yeah, and it was so low scoring, and it was the sun was shining. It was a perfect night in Adelaide.
Well, the funny thing was, we were sitting there checking the score, and Jack, you go, I've got to check. I've got to watch it live. I've got to know what the conditions are out there.
I thought it was going to be a slop fest of rain.
Couldn't believe it when I saw it.
Yeah, picturesque. Adelaide Oval at its finest.
Well, that's obviously not your game of the round. I would like to know, hopefully, you've got something a little bit more exciting to talk about. What was your game of the round and why, Jacko?
Oh, my game of the round has to be the Western Bulldogs against Richmond. The Doggies had a terrible month of footy. They dropped after a really promising start. They beat the Swans, which have turned out not to be any good. But then they had an 8-goal last quarter against Hawthorn in round 2, and then the next month was putrid. It was absolutely putrid. And, look, Aaron Norton. Yeah, just absolutely boy oh boy wowee from Astro Norton. What a game. Look, I was impressed from the start. We had that dog bite that we had missing for a month. Key players stood up. Josh Dunkley, as you mentioned before, was great. Bontempelli, best on. He's in electric form. He's just looking absolutely delicious. Yes, he sure is. He's absolutely delicious at the moment. Another solid game off the halfback from Caleb Daniel. He is so beautiful on both sides of the body.
Well, that's 2 weeks in a row now.
Yeah. It's looking pretty good. He notched up another 36 disposals and 36 disposals from Jack McRae as well, so he's doing his bit. They just beat him all over the ground. They wanted it more. Obviously, goes without saying, Richmond are missing absolute...
quality everywhere.
Just quality. They're lacking their star power, and it shows. They never really looked in it. Dustin Martin, what is going on with Dusty? Bobby, what do you think?
I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think he still had 25 or something.
Yeah,
but he's not Dustin Martin.
But he's not breaking games, and he didn't look like he was that involved at all. Like, he didn't look invested. Yeah,
struggling to find consistency this year, which is. It's really unfortunate if you're a Tigers supporter that your team cops a few injuries and the guys that are still there that you think you can rely on to stand up are not standing up every week.
Yes.
And you expect that out of a premiership team, to be quite honest. Well, a recent premiership team. A lot of people had them premiership favourites to start this year. So, Dylan Grimes has had some really good games, and we've talked about how good some of his performances have been, but on the weekend, he let Aaron Norton take some of those contested marks.
Yeah,
stayed on the ground.
Yeah,
and didn't jump. So, when Dusty's playing like that and Grimes is probably miscalculating the flight of the ball and things just aren't falling your way, then, they've got, who we've talked about, Sydney Stack, they've got rays of hope there, but they're false rays of hope, because once you've got a fully fit and firing team, that guy's just going to drift off to the fringe, and they need to get back to some of their premiership form.
Yeah, absolutely. And lastly, I'd like to touch on that 19-year-old Aaron Norton picked 9 in the 2016 draft by the Western Bulldogs from Peel Thunder.
Talk him up.
Yeah, talk him up a bit here. Look, they're calling him a star already. I disagree with that. We've got to see more of that. But it's really good signs for the future going forward, and it shows that he can play at the key position at both ends. And, really promising stuff. 9 contested marks and 5 goals from a 19-year-old.
Jeez, he got a hot pair of hands he didn't let go.
Yeah, absolutely. And, a 47-point win to my Doggies against the Tigers. I'm pretty happy with that. We had the Brisbane Lions in Ballarat, and who knows what can happen next week, Bobby. Who knows? But, your game in a round, Bobby. Hit us up. What is it?
It was a tough one because obviously it wasn't a great round for superb games. The Alistair Clarkson put it rightly, I thought. I really considered giving the Hawthorn-Melbourne game some treatment as game of the round.
Yep.
But he's right. Both of these sides are middle-of-the-road teams. Mm-hmm. They haven't impressed on the paddock. So my game of the round is Port versus Collingwood. Not really a close outcome, but Collingwood, much like they did to the Bombers, except with a bit more vitriol, 7 goals, 6 to 3 behinds in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Port's second quarter, I thought, oh, here we go. There's some life. Someone's pulled out the old pacemaker paddles at quarter time in the huddle and given them a bit of a zap. Because it was 5-5 to 1-6. And then the run home, Port only kicked 5 more goals for the entire match. You know, and the Pies managed 7 more. Technically, Port won 2 quarters, it was one of the reasons I tipped Port, was because I saw this trend where Collingwood were losing quarters after their fast starts.
Yeah, fade-offs.
And it does seem to be a growing trend for them, which really does not matter when you have first quarters like they've been having. Do you think they are the premiership favourites, Jack?
Collingwood premiership favourites at the moment? No, I have Geelong just a sniff ahead of them.
Couldn't be by much, though.
Not by much. An absolute sniff, a nose hair. But, yeah, Geelong have been pretty clinical with some of their wins. They're a bit more consistent over a 4-quarter effort, and their stars are consistently standing up. Not saying that Collingwood's aren't. I mean, Pendlebury and Treloar are playing terrific football. They've just lost Taylor Adams with an abductor injury, and he could be out. He could miss a little bit of footy with that. But, I mean... Yeah, I just think Geelong are a little bit ahead of them, but Geelong, it's a long season, Bobby, and yeah.
So, I mean, Collingwood really deserve their just desserts for a very quality win. The day and the location they were playing, Friday with a short break after Anzac Day and then at Marvel Stadium, seemed quite odd to me, but it hasn't bothered them, which I think is a mark of a quality team. Anywhere, anytime type of stuff.
Yeah. So
I really like that from Collingwood. For Port Adelaide, though, I really have to mention Ollie Wines. I know he's been spoken about a little bit, but honestly, definitely his worst 28 touch performance he's ever had.
Yeah.
One of the worst. It was not a captain's performance. He was soft. My captain was no better. He was exactly the same in the country game. So
how's that turnover?
Just some shocking decisions. And on the opposite side of the coin, Scott Pendlebury led from the front all day. You know, 2 weeks in a row having to butter up after a really tough victory on Anzac Day. So
it just feels like Pendlebury's getting better.
He is, man.
He's getting older, but better.
He must have listened to our podcast a few weeks ago where I put him in the cold basket. So
yeah, he was in the cold basket with Selwood. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was only ever against his own standard.
Yeah.
And now he's playing better than what I expect him to play.
Yeah. Like
so he's really playing well. There's an area of concern I've got for Port, and it's their forward line. Yeah. I really struggle to see their 2 most dangerous forwards are Scott Lysette and Connor Rosie. And I think that's a really big problem, that these guys are new people to the club and that they're their most consistent, dangerous forwards. Westhoff's trying to do his bit, but he's also trying to do everything at once.
Yeah.
So he's a man with not enough arms, unfortunately. Whereas at the other end of the ground, Collingwood have got DeGoey.
Yep.
And guys like Jamie Elliott keep playing pretty consistently and having decent weeks. Then their backups are Jaden Stevenson, Brody Myercheck. They're dangerous everywhere.
Some first quarter from Jaden Stevenson.
Wow. They are dangerous everywhere in their forward line. And Port, I'm not really afraid of their forward line. I'm terrified of their midfield when they're up and about.
Yeah.
But all it took was for Ollie Wines to play really marshmallow type footy. Not bruise free. I won't go that far because he is a tough fella, but it just really didn't attack the contest at all.
Certainly one he'll forget. What I noticed, first couple of minutes of the game, Port entered forward 50 and Paddy Ryder dropped an uncontested mark.
Yeah.
What that could have done to set the tone for Port Adelaide early it could have set the tone beautifully for them, but he dropped that mark and unfortunately that set the tone for what was to come.
Well, we saw the vision of Ken Hinkley march down there at quarter time and give an epic spray.
Yeah, an old-fashioned.
Yeah, and I like Ken Hinkley because he goes to the top.
Yeah.
He'll pick the lieutenants or the generals and he'll give them the biggest cook, and it worked.
Yeah.
It worked the next quarter, and then whatever he said to them at halftime in the rooms wasn't enough.
Yeah.
You know?
It certainly wasn't his night, but a big congratulations to Port Adelaide champion Travis Boak on 250 great games.
Yeah, and he had a good performance too. So, Look, that leads us to the votes from all the games that have been. So why don't you lead us away, Jack? Each week we go through the votes 1 to 5. So Jack's going to take us away with his votes for the weekend. Give me what you got.
Yes, all right. I'm going to start off with my first vote. So 1 vote goes to Melbourne's James Harms. He had a pretty good game. 31 touches, 6 clearances, 5 tackles. Gave a couple of 50s away, but he kept Jaeger O'Meara quiet, which was important. Jaeger O'Meara had spurts of spurts of pretty good disposal and efficiency and whatnot. But yeah, James Harmes kept him pretty quiet as the day went on, and he played really well. And he had a really touching moment with a member in the crowd. John, I think his name was John, 29-year-old, Down syndrome, big James Harmes fan, and he went and signed the footy and gave it to him at the end. So that was a nice touch. So it was a good win for Melbourne.
Yeah, nice.
Yes, my 2 votes, and you'll probably be shocked that I only gave him 2 votes, but I gave my 2 vote. Well, not shocked, but look, Astro Norton. I'm going to give 2 votes to Astro Norton. Aaron Norton is his birth name. Sorry about the crap nickname that my club have come up with, but kicked a whopping 5 goals. He was absolutely electric. He took 9 contested marks, which is the second most in an AFL game, and he ties that with the likes of Matthew Lloyd, Barry Hall, Chad Corns, etc. So he's in pretty good company there.
The king.
Then, he was 1 under the duck, Wayne Carey, with 10. And, look, he's in pretty good company there for a 19-year-old. It was impressive. And he kicked 5 and got the Dogs across the line.
Nice.
3 votes goes to another dog, Marcus Bontempelli. I've double dogged it this week. It was a great performance. So Marcus Bontempelli was outstanding. 3 goals. He set the tone early with a marvellous goal from a tight angle on his left foot, drop punt, textbook stuff. And he got the ball rolling early. 27 touches, and he's just showing the Rolls Royce that he can be. My 4 votes, 4. We're up to 4. Yes, my 4 votes goes to Brisbane's Dane Zorko. He had a really good outing, 29 disposals, 1 goal and a whopping 762 metres gained. He was massive for Brisbane and really helped their midfield and forward line get across the line against a really average Sydney again. My 5 votes, and it wasn't the easiest round to come up with, but my 5 votes goes to Jeremy Cameron.
Mama, there goes that man.
Yes, there goes that man. He had a whopping 6 goals. He took 11 marks. 30 goals year to date. He now leads the Coleman 13 goals clear of his second in place, which I've forgotten who that is.
Might be Alex Sexton. You were talking him up all year.
He's 4th. Hey, I had a look. My boy Alex Sexton is 4th in the Coleman race.
Right.
But he's like 15 to 18 goals behind Jeremy Cameron. Anyway, Jeremy Cameron was awesome again. He's not slowing down. He's looking pretty bloody good. He's so quick, so versatile for his size. Gets up the ground, moves around, and he's just an elite player at the moment, and I'm really enjoying his footy. Bobby, it is now time for your 5 votes. Hit me with your first vote of the round.
All right. Well, having been at the game, I think this is well justified. Having watched this man in person do his thing, my first vote, it goes to Tim Kelly of the Geelong Football Club. I thought on a day when a team that was of premiership quality was getting the job done, and he was their best player, especially when they were missing Dangerfield. I mean, he was pretty much absent. He did get injured, but he was absent for most of the day. So Tim Kelly, 30 touches, 2 goals and 10 clearances. He was the standout in that team. He's a reason that their premiership odds keep shortening. I think he's a very, very important piece for them. And he deserves to get mentioned this week. 2 votes I gave to Dane Zorko. Like you, I thought he had a very good performance. It's definitely below his best because he usually hits the scoreboard a little bit when he's playing at the top. But like you said, he had 29 touches, 11 clearances. He had 11 tackles.
I missed that one, yeah.
11 tackles. The meters gained is nice, but it's the pressure, especially when you're playing a team like Sydney who want to grind.
Yeah.
When you front up and say, yeah, let's grind, let's go, and go toe-to-toe with them, I'm impressed by that. So he kicked 1 snag, but, a few more touches and maybe another hit the scoreboard to give his team a comfortable win wouldn't have hurt because it would have helped him climb up in my votes, which is something I know he's dying to do. Now, my 3 votes, it goes to Jeremy Cameron. I didn't have him.
Way too generous, wasn't I?
No. It's that's up to you, mate.
It's just what we see.
Look, you're not the first man to measure yourself against me and come up short, but Jeremy Cameron, he will not be stopped. We're 1/3 of the way through the season, and as you rightly pointed out, 30 goals.
Yeah.
And he's 30 goals, 16 or something.
Yeah.
So the chances for him to get a ton are right up there. Most people have rightfully said if he's going to get it, he might not get it until the end of the finals. It'll be through the finals, not the regular home and away. I pretty much agree with that because at some point you've got to maybe not have a week off, but slow down and just have a couple of consecutive 2-goal games.
Well, when he comes up against a formidable backline,
Exactly.
he might go quiet.
Yeah. But, yeah, I thought he was great. I think 3 votes is pretty fair because the man who got 4, I could not believe his performance 2 weeks in a row. It has to be the captain of the Footy, Collingwood Footy Club, Scott Pendlebury. 36 touches. He was sensational. And, you know, I think he probably, the same way I was super impressed with him on Anzac Day, in that last quarter getting 10 very, very important touches to make sure his team won the game, I think he knew that this could have been a danger game for them. No one else got 30 touches. Not another player in their team. So he came out and identified it and said, I'm going to take this one. I'm going to lead from the front all day, which is something that his opposite captain on the ground couldn't do. And I reckon he's the reason that his team led so comfortably all day. And even when Port Adelaide mounted a fight back, they didn't really seem to do it with a lot of pepper. 5 votes. It has to be your boy. I can't believe you sold him so short. It's Aaron Norton of the Western Bulldogs Football Club.
Mama, there goes that man.
He was so good. He was absolutely amazing. And I'm so impressed, and I think it's worth 5 votes, when someone plays above a level that you don't think they're capable of yet. I didn't think he was... Did you think he was capable of that performance? Of being talked about with stats like Matthew Lloyd and like...
Barry Hall.
There's no way you thought he was that good yet.
No.
Yet.
Yeah.
So I think...
Sky's the limit now, though.
Yeah, he has... You rightly said it. I think he's been overhyped in terms of already being a star. That's a bit crazy. But knowing where your ceiling is a great advantage when you're an AFL footy player.
Yep.
We've seen a lot of guys never quite reach their potential and the pressure starts to mount, and we've talked about them. Here's a young fellow who, if people go, well, he's a top 10 pick. Yeah, look at what he did.
Yeah.
Look at what he can do. Let's just see if we can get it consistent. I was so super impressed. I was super impressed with how sticky his hands were. Got a few gimmies from the Richmond backline that didn't really man him up very well. However, there were a few serious clunkers in there.
How's that one like 2 minutes after a big pack mark? How's the one he just flew over Noah Bolter?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean,
about it.
he was on Nathan Broad most of the day. So, yeah, there was a bit of who factor about that. You know, I only know him as the guy that shared the picture of the chick with her tits out and the medal. That's the only reason I know who he is, to be quite honest. Sorry, Richmond fans. I don't know if he's ever done anything better in his entire life.
No.
Definitely not on the football field.
Good set.
Oh,
Good
dear.
set. Look, I've got to do my homework a bit more, I think. I've been a bit generous and a bit, feel like I've robbed a bloke. Especially Pendles.
No. It was more...
Friday was a long time ago, Bobby.
Like, Friday was a long time ago. I had to deliberate. Last week, I feel like we had a really hard time picking our votes. This week felt a little bit easier. There were some more standout performances, probably because there wasn't as many standout games from a lot of teams.
Yeah, it's probably got a lot to do with the 18 games in 11 days as well from the week before, so...
Well, look, that's my votes. So...
Yeah.
Why don't you take us into the next segment, Jackie boy?
Yeah, so we'll lead you into the next segment, which is Bobby's Hot and Cold.
He's heating up.
Last week, for the blokes that I had running hot, I gave you Brodie Smith and Steve Coniglio. Now, Coniglio actually, he just tempered down a touch. He only had 22 and he kicked 1 goal. Now, last week you said to me you thought he was a top 5 player. I was a bit bemused because I wasn't too sure if he was, but I heard Gary Lyon say during the week he is definitely a top 10 player. So,
yeah,
you know, maybe I disagree with you a bit quick there. I had to reflect on that. Now, the other one, Brodie Smith, carried on doing what he was doing. He was very solid without being Adelaide's best. 25 touches, a goal, and I thought he was
goal too.
I thought he was pretty good. But this week, let's talk about the guys that are heating up and they're ready to rip it apart.
He's heating up. He's on fire.
My first one, it's Pendles. You know, it's so well documented. We've talked about him 2 weeks. He's obviously featured in the votes. So you know where he's at. Now, this week, they've got Carlton. So unlike the last 2 weeks when I think he's realising the potential danger of losses and stepping up, he probably shouldn't be very afraid this week of whether they're going to get a W or an L.
Who's going to battle Cripps, do you think?
I wouldn't have thought so.
No?
No.
Who goes to Cripps?
Well, I'm interested in if they try the Levi Greenwood experiment because
Yeah,
they can
bring him back
probably
in.
afford to go one short in the midfield
Yep.
and still win the game comfortably.
Yeah.
And with Taylor Adams going down, I think they should move Treloar to the wing.
Okay.
I think they should put Treloar on the outside. And they'll put Pendles in there, but with Greenwood.
Yeah, that quick run and carry on the outside.
Yeah,
Draw,
exactly. Well,
yeah.
it'll rip Carlton apart.
Yeah,
it
they
will.
won't know what to do.
Now, look, obviously he's running hot, and the question every week is, can he sustain it? But I'm going to give you a minimum requirement.
Yeah.
It's-
Okay.
It's got to be at least 30 touches.
Yep.
12 contested, and 4 clearances. Do you think he can put those numbers up against Carlton, or will he?
Against Carlton, I'm gonna see in 1 week's time if I'm a genius or not.
Yep.
Pendlebury will have 38 disposals against Carlton. No, he'll have 38. 38 touches.
Start building your multi. Go on.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll have 38 touches. He'll kick a goal, and he will destroy Carlton's midfield. Yes, he will sustain it because Scott Pendlebury's only getting better.
Agreed. All right. The second one.
38's big.
38's big, but the second one, it's your boy. It's Caleb Daniel.
Oi.
He's almost been your best on 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Clearly pivotal in both games. Can he maintain this against Brisbane, who I think have a better midfield in terms of matchup ability against Caleb Daniel?
Well, he won't want to get caught one out with an Eric Hipwood or someone of that stature. Because, yes, he will sustain it. I'm super impressed with little Caleb. He's absolutely killing it. They've reinvented him. Luke Beveridge has reinvented him. He was sort of on the half forward going into the pinch hitting in the midfield. And, we've got him running off the half back, and he's good on both sides of the body. He's been really exciting, and, 36 touches for him. Yes, he'll sustain it. He'll continue playing good footy.
What do you think his... for an uneducated Bulldogs person like myself, what do you think his sudden burst of form is all about?
Well, I just think it's the change of role. So they've got him obviously running off the half back. He's quite quick, and he uses his size to his advantage. So he can cut and weave in between your bigger midfielders, and he's just so elite by foot. His skill level and his read of the play as well. He just knows what he's doing, and and as I said, his disposal distribution's just at an elite level at the moment, and he'll keep rolling like that.
You're as cold as ice!
Through to my players who are running cold. These guys are really struggling a little bit at the moment.
They must be running cold. You're on the VFL website, Bobby.
Well, you'll know, because I
Yeah.
promised I'd call him out by name every single week until he lifted.
Oh dear.
And the bloke I'm going to talk to you about,
Is it the Love Shack?
it is the Shack Man.
The Shack Man. Oh dear.
All right, well, the VFL website sucks. Fortunately, there's literally zero statistics on there to show for the
What
result.
have you heard?
I haven't heard a single thing.
Oh, you basher! You're just bashing the Shack.
No, the Ice King, Josh Shackey, I'm pretty sure he's done absolutely nothing. I can't see any scores to his name.
Let's just reel off that. He had 0, 0, 0, 0.
Yeah, he had zeros everywhere. Well, what I can tell you is he didn't impact the scoreboard, and, that's his job.
Yeah.
And like you said, number 2 pick, so that's another week in the row. So, Josh Shackey, you are still locked in your icy coffin, not to re-emerge until I say so. Now, last week, I gave you Petrarca and Hamling.
Yep.
Hamling and the rest of his team were invisible for most of the weekend.
Yeah.
Christian Petrarca had 1 or 2 very good acts in the fourth quarter that may have helped Melbourne win that game. But he was, again, lost, wandering around aimlessly, not looking like a very big talent for the whole first half.
Yeah, and his kicking was poor, and his disposal efficiency, everything. It just doesn't look right.
11 touches at
Yeah.
63% and only laid 2 tackles. So I don't know what he's doing out there. He's lost.
Yeah.
Clearly lost.
The athleticism he's got, his size, and he's just not using it at all.
So I'm going to take you in to the 2 blokes that I've got this week who are running cold and are a little bit frosty.
You're as cold as ice!
Jade Gresham of the St Kilda Football Club.
Oh, nice one.
Now, he started the season strongly.
Yeah.
People were speaking about him. They were saying his name in line with St Kilda's rich vein of form.
Yeah.
He had 25 and 2 goals in 2 consecutive games.
St Kilda will tell you he's the best small forward since Milne.
Well, one... Oh, God. One was in the win over the Bombers, and the other was in the loss to Freo, which had me thinking, geez, maybe he is good. You know, the consistency in losses. You know, I'm big on that. Then the decline began. He had 26 touches and no scoreboard influence against Hawthorn, 23 against Melbourne, 19 and 1 goal won versus the Crows. And then on the weekend, 18 touches at 38% versus the Giants. Has he been figured out? And can he lift?
Oh, look, I've got a lot of respect and love for Gresham. I think, I think he can become a prominent small forward machine, if you will, for St Kilda as the years go on. But at the moment, obviously, there's been a drop off, and he definitely is.
Cold as ice.
Who have the Saints got this week? They've got West Coast. They've got West Coast at Marvel.
Righty.
Okay, so he'll be coming up against Hearn, and he'll stay cold.
He'll struggle. All right. The other one I've got for you is Kieran Jack. Now,
he still plays?
right.
Oh, Bobby.
Now, I gave Jacko a little bit of warning. I said, mate, when I give you one of these guys that's running cold, your reaction's going to be extreme. But we're talking a different question right now because there's absolutely...
Captain Jack.
There's no question.
You're as cold as ice.
Now, his first game of the year
Yeah.
was versus Melbourne in round 4. He had 2 goals won, 14 touches, and went at 78% disposal efficiency.
Not a bad return.
It sounds okay, doesn't
Yeah.
it? You know, if he can play that sort of footy, it doesn't sound too bad. I'd probably put him in the team too. Then, oh my lord, 11 touches at 45 versus the Tigers. Then he got dropped versus the Giants, and he came back on the weekend. He had 7 touches at 57% for 80% time on ground.
Oh.
So, it's not whether he can recover it. The question I'm asking you is this career over for him? And should he be playing any more, considering he's taking a spot from a young kid that could probably do exactly the same thing?
Yeah, to me, it's time. It is time to hang up the boots. He's got nothing left to prove. He's a premiership player. He was Captain Jack. He was Mr. Courageous. He was everything to that club, and we'll never forget that. He was a vital member of that club through their success.
He was a fantastic All-Australian.
Yeah, absolutely. It's time. Father Time hits some people harder than others, and Jared McVeigh's in this category as well. I think it's time for them to both possibly move on at season's end. Obviously, Sydney are going in that direction of a rebuild, which they are not at all used to. They're always thereabouts. It's time for them to hit the whiteboard and really figure out the future. And I don't think at the moment those two boys are a part of it.
Well, they got rid of guys, and they'll say that they didn't get rid of them. I saw the Gary Rowan comments about, how he was actually pretty confused as to why he was leaving Sydney.
Yeah.
They didn't actually want to leave. They got rid of him. They got rid of Dan Hanbury.
They said he wanted to go home when he didn't. Like, that wasn't the reason.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
So...
to cover up.
And then they've still got someone like Kieran Jack playing. I'm really confused. Okay, it's got to be contractual, but I don't understand if you're not showing allegiance to the other guys who have struggled but still have more to offer than this fella. What the bloody hell are the Sydney Swans doing?
Is it a desperation to have leadership out there, like an older head? Because...
Would Dan Hanbury not have helped with that? Would Gary Rowan not have helped guys like Fox and Florent and stuff like
Gary
that?
Rowan's helping guys like Brian Myers.
Exactly.
And what's his name? The mullet-looking dude. I forgot his name, but he's really good as well. He's helping Geelong's young guns.
Yeah,
and
he
they're
is.
performing, and
He
he's
really is.
performing. I mean, he was a bit cold in the country game, but he's had a good start to his Geelong career. So I get what you mean. Yeah. And Dan Menzel comes back. He debuts for the Swans. He comes through the NEFL this week, and we'll see how he goes. But I mean, they replaced Gary Rowan with Daniel Menzel and vice versa, and I think Geelong have won that one. Yeah.
Oh, they've won that in the big way. Well, that's my running cold for this week, Jacko. So
It's a good one.
now it's time for you to shine the spotlight on one or two things from the week. What have you got for me, Jack?
Yeah, look, I'm going to shine the spotlight on a few. These are off-field things actually that really impressed me, and it's just a reminder to football's community and the broader community that football, no matter who you support, it unites everyone. And there comes times in the season where we're desperate for a feel-good moment. Obviously, we've had the booing saga. We've had, the umpire bashing, which is rightfully deserved at times. But what I saw, and I'm sure you agree, what I saw on Friday night was absolute class from the Collingwood Football Club. It was earlier reported on all news outlets that a young 7-year-old supporter of the name Kyron and his mother and father visited the Holden Centre down in Collingwood and watched Collingwood train. A young Indigenous lad, 7 years old, he's terminally ill with brain cancer. Collingwood got him involved down at the footy club, got his jumper signed. His favourite player is Adam Treloar, and rightfully so. He's a gun. He got his number 7 jersey signed by absolutely everyone and a hug from Treloar at training. It was a really nice touch. Bucks had a heart-to-heart with the father, who's obviously going through a world of pain at the moment. It was good to see that he can forget about his issues for a little while and enjoy his number one passion, which is football, with his idols. And then Friday night, he tossed the coin. And then, and they had an emphatic win over Port Adelaide. And it was just so fitting.
Oh, no, I'm pretty sure that they cheered him off the ground.
They did. It was the most
fantastic.
fitting end to a great week for him, an unforgettable week for him and his family. Scott Pendlebury and Adam Treloar showing the classy young men that they are, cheering Kyron off the ground in front of thousands of Happy Pies fans, and that stuff brings tears to an eye. And it just reminds everyone that it's more than a game, and it means a lot to people. And I was touched by it. I really liked it. And as I touched on before, James Harms, in the same sort of light, had a moment with a 29-year-old Melbourne fanatic. He's absolutely obsessed with the D's. Obviously not travelling so well, so it was nice to see him have the last laugh on Saturday when they narrowly defeated Hawthorn 5 points, and he got the signed footy at the end and a hug.
Look at that game. That was a nice touch as well.
Yeah.
But that game showed the two faces of footy, didn't it?
Yes.
Because we saw the scenes afterwards between the Hawthorn and the Melbourne fan, with a few punches being thrown.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
Which is something that I'd mentioned to you the week before when people were having a crack at the Essendon Footy Club for supposedly booing Scott Pendlebury. It was, footy can go a lot more wrong than people booing.
Yeah.
And we saw exactly the two ends of the spectrum in that Melbourne Hawthorn game, where people just, look, it's obviously more than a game to us.
Yeah.
But it is not enough to get me to break my moral code.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
So I really don't understand what overcomes people that did that. And during the week, there was a mum that ran onto the ground over in WA and went and bashed some 13-year-old umpire.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you saw that.
No, I heard about it. It's just disgraceful.
These people, obviously, we talk about maybe grabbing people on social media and trying to find them and give them life bans. Well, if you just pay enough attention, they'll come out in the woodwork, and you won't have to hunt for them online. You'll find them in the flesh, and we can deal with them. And the law should probably deal with them pretty harshly as well.
Yeah.
Everyone understands that that's not acceptable.
Yeah. On afternoons on SEN with Andy Marr. Andy Marr touched on this topic as well, and he actually had a phone. The first cab off the rank, calling up the station, was this fella. I forgot his name, but he's from Pakenham, and he had a run-in with Clayton Oliver online. So he and his mate sort of bashed Clayton Oliver. Remember that Schofield incident where he sort of flopped?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they bashed him online like quite hellaciously, and Clayton Oliver called him out and messaged them privately, and a few of Clayton Oliver's mates also did as well. And they apologised, and he came on the air, and he was brave enough and big enough to sort of explain to Andy why he did it, and then what came after, the repercussions, and how he felt. And still feels today. He said, he literally said it made him feel like a shit person. Immediately apologising to Andy that he swore on the program, but Andy said that was fine. I mean, like that. He made a bit of a boo boo, and he got called out, and that would feel pretty embarrassing. And look, he's man enough to admit that he was in the wrong, and he's since learned his lesson. So you can use that as a sort of a reference point to
there's someone that's
to your argument with the online stuff.
Yeah, that's someone that's potentially made a mistake, but they're not going to break their moral code. When someone said, "This is, you're about to really mess my life up for a little bit."
Yeah.
The guy said, "Oh, geez, I might have stuffed up," and obviously withdrew and apologised and all those sorts of things. So he's done the right thing. But those things are going to happen in footy, and especially I'm not condoning what he did, but I doubt Clayton Oliver will be flopping again anytime soon, because that was a guaranteed flop.
Yeah.
You know, so there's an element of me that goes, serves him right, and then there's obviously a line, and that guy's probably pretty clearly gone over it by the sounds of things. So we just have to appreciate where the line is drawn, and punching each other at the end of a football game is well past it. So
yeah, absolutely. And the Hawthorn fella, like, he knocked his beer out of his hand, like, whatever. Say a few words, if you will.
Yeah,
But
look, at the end of the day, people, that's $8 on the ground.
Yeah.
That's not enough to hit someone.
No, and hit someone repeatedly. And he had an intellectual disability as well, so that doesn't pose well for the offender, who looked like Nathan Jones a bit, which everyone was rallying around as a bit of a joke online, but no disrespect to Nate Jones either. But it was a pretty ugly incident for what was a pretty touching round in other areas.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just a few things. Oh, one last thing I wanted to touch on. Alistair Clarkson's presser was quite interesting, I thought.
It was.
Yeah. He left no stone unturned.
Loved
we had
it.
a pretty interesting one in the NRL this weekend as well.
Oh,
Did you
Craig
hear Craig
Bellamy?
Bellamy?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
I mean-
What are they, 5-2? 6-2?
These two boys are cut from the same cloth, those
Yeah,
two guys.
and this is why they're so successful.
Yep.
So Craig Bellamy's a 3 or 4 time premiership coach in the NRL. Clarkson's a 4-time premiership coach in the AFL. And this is why, when it needs to be said, they say it. They don't beat around the bush.
Yeah, I think Clarkson epitomised it. I'm sure Bellamy feels exactly the same way.
Yeah.
We are not a club that's going to sit around the middle of the ladder for too long.
No.
He is absolutely spot on.
Yeah. They'd quit their jobs before they'd let that happen for a prolonged period.
Yeah, I agree. And we were talking about it. We were having a discussion during the week about someone like Paul Roos, who was in the same boat, you know, and probably stepped away at the right time, preserved his image. He went to Melbourne. He did good things without doing probably... He wasn't the Lord and Saviour that everyone thought he could have been. But he did do some...
Well, they say he was.
Well, because he did some great things that no one else, 3 or 4 men before him, couldn't do.
It was the first time in 15 years Melbourne recruited pretty well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so there are coaches that are a cut above, and they don't do things in a mediocre way whatsoever. And Alistair Clarkson and Craig Bellamy are clearly two of them. In terms of what Clarko said, it's a huge dose of common sense, those comments.
Yeah.
That's something that you or I would say sitting in a presser.
Yeah.
So it's great to hear a bloke sit there and look at all these media people and go, what do you want?
Yeah.
That's the God's honest truth.
Yeah.
Look at what you're going to go and do with it.
Popovich-ish, wasn't it?
Well, more about 80% more words than Pop would have uttered, but you know, at the same time, it was like the truth's right in front of your face, mate. Neither of us played very well today. I didn't. When people go, oh, should he be? You know, he just mentioned another team. It's not something he normally does. What do you want of it? Melbourne Footy Club's not very good right now. They weren't
Is Simon Goodwin going to crack a whip and crack
Well,
it
he was
about it? No.
nearly tearing up because they had a victory. Because he's probably just saved his job.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
Yeah.
Like if they
He's probably
carry,
feeling it.
yeah, if they carried on week to week, he might be crying for a different reason. So I didn't think anything Clarko said was wrong. I thought it was great. I thought he should say it more often. I think more coaches should say it. I think they should stop being afraid of speaking the truth as if intelligent supporters that are actually the ones who interact with the game the most frequently. You know, we spend a fair bit of money following football.
Yeah.
And we're not idiots. We can see through what every other coach says during a presser. It's boring.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty.
We just weren't up to it today.
Oh, I'm
They
so
were the
unimpressed
better
with that.
team.
Yeah,
I'm so
like,
unimpressed.
yeah, give us answers.
Our intent around the ball. Don't give me that.
We as the
You know.
stakeholders want answers to why they're playing so well and why they're playing so terribly.
Yeah, Clarko's stuff was great. It was fantastic.
Yeah. So, I just wanted to touch on that as well. I thought, it's quite impressive. And, Greg Popovich, they're all cut from the same cloth, these competitive beasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, moving on. Bobby, you said off air that it's going to be an absolute doozy. It is now time for Compare the Pair.
Each week, I give Jacko 2 players. I put them head to head and I ask him to choose one over the other. Sometimes it's for their performance for the rest of the year. Sometimes it's a career. This week, I've got 2 great ones for you. Namesakes, in fact. And I'll give you the tail of the tape in a second, because last week I gave you Ben Cunnington and Oliver Wines.
Yeah.
Both were pretty average,
Yeah.
to be quite honest. And on opposite ends, one had a pretty bad loss, one had a pretty good win. They had similar-ish numbers, though, when you looked at the stats. But this week, I give to you Tim Kelly
Oh,
and Josh Kelly.
wow.
Now, let me give you the tail of the tape.
Battle of the Kellys.
They're both 24.
Yep.
Height, weight, nearly identical. Josh Kelly drafted number 2.
Yeah.
Tim Kelly drafted number 4. Josh has a 3-inch reach advantage. Now, Josh Kelly averages 28 touches at 73%. He's only kicked 2 goals for the whole year. Tim Kelly is averaging 24 touches at 66%. I will say that that's been dragged down significantly by one absolute poor round that he had. It happened to be against the Giants, where he had 9 touches at 33%. Without that game, their disposal efficiency and their numbers are pretty similar. Their stats, these are identical ones. Both have 11 contested possessions on average, 6 clearances on average,
Jesus.
5 tackles on average.
How do you think I'm going to compare?
Clearly, people think Josh Kelly is the biggest star, is a bigger fish to land in free agency and things like that. Tim Kelly might be Geelong's most important midfielder. Who do you think will have a better year by the time the year is done? And which one is more valuable to their team?
Tim Kelly. I love him. 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 That's probably why. Probably because I watch a little bit more Geelong, I'll be honest. Now, Josh Kelly, the hype, the 10-year thing, the whole... I get it. I get it. He looks like this poster boy, superstar, absolute gun footballer. I'll give you that. Like, he's incredibly impressive. Mm-hmm. But I find Tim Kelly better to watch. I find his story so far is fascinating, and I think that he's going to. I think he will have a better season because I think Geelong will run deeper than GWS.
It's interesting. I mean, I sat there and I thought about it. I thought on first look, it would have to be Josh Kelly.
Yeah.
Josh Kelly's a better footballer, isn't he? He's a higher draft pick. He's worth more money. People want him more. All these sorts of things. I thought that this would be clear cut. The only reason I actually paired them together was because of their name, not because I actually thought they were in the same category. And then I started reflecting on it, and I thought, let me just check the data out, because I reckon they're both as important to their teams as each other.
I think at the moment, though, Tim Kelly's more of a match winner with Geelong.
Surely the ceiling is higher for Josh Kelly, though.
It is. It's higher than Tim. It is.
So, do you think Tim Kelly is more important to Geelong than Josh Kelly is to GWS?
Well...
Yes or no?
I can't yes or no
Yes
that.
or no, mate?
No, get stuffed. Get absolutely stuffed.
Oh, you're about to go blasphemous.
You are. You are. Can't yes or no that. I need to do more research. I need to watch tape. I need to really... That it's a tough one. You've hit me for 6 this week, Bobby. You have hit me for 6.
Look, I will say, I researched them and went, holy shit. I think Josh Kelly is clearly a better player, but that Tim Kelly is more important to his team.
Yeah, see, I'm looking at both teams' midfields.
Yep.
You got Whitfield,
Who's
Caniglio.
going to have the better year? Let's put it, let's just do it, I don't know, we'll use the metric that the system uses. Who's going to poll more Brownlow votes?
Josh Kelly.
You just talked up Tim Kelly and then said he'd get less Brownlow votes.
I'm not a hater. I'm talking Brownlow. We're talking Brownlow votes. All right? We're talking Brownlow votes.
Yeah.
Dangerfield, Ablett, Duncan polls. When he plays well, he polls.
Ablett's probably got more Brownlow votes.
Yeah.
So far.
Caniglio, he's going to be polling votes.
Polling good votes.
Whitfield's going to be polling votes.
Yep.
So it's pretty hard to separate.
Zach Williams will poll votes.
Zach Williams was sensational on the weekend, by the way. He had 30 touches. He was good. Oh,
and Taranto's going to get a couple.
Tim Taranto's having...
Hopper's going to get some.
Hoppity, hop.
Hoppo, what, eh? All right, so...
This is getting ridiculous.
You're saying that Josh Kelly will have the better year by the measure of Brownlow votes, but that Tim Kelly is a more important player to his team.
I'm going to go... Yes, move on. Because... I think we're.
I can see him getting flustered, and I'm just holding him over the flame.
I'm getting a bit flustered.
He's heating up.
I'm gonna have a sip of my drink, actually.
Alrighty, well that's it for Compare the Pair. So we're gonna move on to the match preview. These are the upcoming games of the round. I'm gonna run you through them very quickly. Now we don't, in terms of our tips, mate. That was a poor round of tipping.
Yeah.
For me, it was a pretty poor round of tipping. I only got 5. I think we obviously both got the Port Adelaide Collingwood game.
Oh, so wrong. I had Port in my multi.
We both tipped Carlton.
Yeah.
Luckily enough, I tipped Geelong. Actually, sorry, I got 6. I tipped Geelong. Done well there.
Yeah.
We both ended up tipping Melbourne, funnily enough. So we called the slightly closer games correct, but and we got the margins on a few of them pretty good. But I nearly talked myself into picking Freo. But luckily enough, we stuck fast and both tipped Adelaide.
Nice.
In terms of the games to come, the first one to kick us off on Friday night, Sydney Swans versus the Essendon Footy Club. Who's your tip and why, Jacko?
I'm tipping the Essendon Football Club to go up there and get the job done. I do not rate Sydney at all. I just don't. Nah. They're in rebuild. They're deep in rebuild mode now. Essendon just across the. Who's Sinclair? Bell Chambers will win the ruck battle.
Absolutely.
He'll smash it. He'll absolutely kill it.
We'll win the midfield battle too.
Yeah. Is Alir going to contain Joe Danaher? Who knows? I'm not too sure.
Maybe, but Orazio Fantasia should be back. Jake Stringer is red hot this year so far.
Red hot. Look, he might be in your running hot sometime soon, I reckon. I dare say. He's being the package. Essendon for mine. They'll be too strong. They'll get the job done.
And even if Buddy's back, Michael Hurley has done a superb job for a couple of years now of putting the clamps on him.
Yeah.
Hurley made him look slow and lumbering last year at one point. I don't know if you remember that. Everyone thought there was an injury to Buddy. He just got outplayed all day.
Can I just mention something as well? The media journalists, all of them, they always pull out the Buddy loves playing the Bombers. Buddy smashes the Bombers. He's just had 2 weeks off with injury. He's going to come back. He will not smash the Bombers.
No.
Hooker and Hurley will hold him pretty tight, I reckon.
If he kicks 5, I'll eat 100 nuggets.
Yeah, 100 nuggets. God, we got to get this going.
All right, game 2.
100 nuggets next week. What do you reckon?
Well, I've got to be wrong.
Chance.
So, rare chance.
Now,
Now,
the arrogance.
round 2, game 2, Western Bulldogs versus Brisbane Lions. 145 over at Ballarat, is it?
Yeah, Mars Stadium, Ballarat. Yep.
Who's
Bit of a wind tunnel.
your tip and why?
Oh, dearie me. Believe it or not, Dogs go in as favourites against Brisbane. I'm going to tip the Western Bulldogs.
Yep.
Yes, I'm going to tip them purely because I don't believe Brisbane have played Mars Stadium before, and Bulldogs are looking to turn this into a little fortress of theirs.
How many times have you guys played at Miles Stadium?
3 or 4 times. We lost to Port Adelaide in a wet one last year, but we beat the Gold Coast. We have a pretty, we have a stronger win and loss ratio there. Right. That's for sure. But we're making that our regional, rural home ground. We've got quite a support base supporting the western region of Victoria. We'll go up there and play what looked like a pretty good Brisbane side last week.
They'll be feeling good.
They'll be feeling really good. However, I just think that the Dogs midfield are looking great. They're accumulating the footy like no tomorrow. Their handball game will fluster Brisbane, I think. Might run them off their feet a little bit. Well, maybe not run them off their feet.
Yeah, I don't know about that because Zorko had 11 tackles this week.
Yeah, exactly
I don't know if you saw that.
No, I did see that. Oh, I did see that. That's why I gave him 4 votes, Bobby. Anyway, yeah, the Dogs for mine. They'll win.
Now, just quickly going to digress back to the first game. Give me the margin. Your margin predictor.
Essendon and Sydney.
Yep.
Essendon will win by 27 points.
I have 6 goals, so we're around the same mark. Yep. Now, for the Bulldogs Brisbane, I'm going to tip the Brisbane Lions.
Okay.
In a close one. I understand what you're saying about the Mars Stadium, but I think anytime you venture out of Marvel. Of Marvel, I was going to say your preferred destination, but basically you guys can't really play anywhere else at the moment. So, yeah, I'm going to tip Brisbane. I just think that I don't know. Don't ask me what it is. Maybe it's just I just want to piss you off. I really don't know what the answer is.
That's all right. Hey, and I'm not going to argue. I'm a Brisbane believer.
No, look,
I'm a believer.
Yeah, I was ready for them to drop off. This was at the time when they were up and about, and St Kilda were up and about.
Yeah.
I was like, no chance Brisbane, no chance St Kilda.
Yeah.
I was adamant they'd keep sliding. Now Brisbane have lost a couple in there, and I'm more convinced about them than I am St Kilda now.
Yes.
You know, because a fight back against that Sydney team, that game required some fight, and they showed it. I think they've got something, Brisbane. I think they really do. I think I didn't put enough faith in them, and I feel like your mob had a good win. It took a nearly record-breaking performance to spank Richmond, but
Yeah.
you did spank a recent premier. So I'm a bit conflicted. I think Brisbane is going to get you on the outside.
Yeah.
And that sounds a little bit odd, considering guys like Caleb Daniel and I guess the Bont, the guys that are, second, third, fourth in the handball chain and things like that.
Yeah, Toby McLean.
Yeah, they get to use it, but Dunkley had a great game,
Yeah.
but that was maybe Dunkley's best game for the year almost.
Yeah, yeah.
Caleb Daniels at peak form. We've never seen him at this form before. That was one of Bont's best games for the whole year, probably.
Hayden Crozier is pretty reliable down back.
Yeah, he definitely is.
He's playing pretty well.
So that was you've got a lot of guys at the very peak of their powers right now. I just have a feeling that they won't carry it one more week, and that the Lions will win a really tight one. Really tight though.
Are
Now
you calling it a classic, Bobby? A classic needs to be in front of more than 10,000 people.
Yeah, the Ballarat Classic
Yeah.
doesn't really have a good ring to it.
No.
So the next game of the round is Carlton versus Collingwood at the MCG. This one should be pretty obvious. Who's your tip, Jack?
Collingwood will win by 70 plus.
Yeah, look, I've got 10 goals. Obviously, that's a minimum.
Yep.
I would have thought. So it'll be interesting to see if Collingwood lose a single quarter.
Yep.
Because you wouldn't expect them to, but like I said, they've got this growing trend of strong start and then mediocre quarter in there somewhere.
Yep. Yep.
So I'll be interested to see, the same reason I thought Melbourne would win, that eventually a team gets their back against the wall and they decide to fight back.
Yep.
Carlton obviously don't have what it takes to fight back, but I want to see if they can try.
Yep.
Now, the next game of the round, it's Gold Coast versus Melbourne, up at the Gold Coast, 4:35 p.m. on Saturday. Who's your tip, Jacko, and why?
Oh, up at the Gold Coast. I'm going to tip Melbourne. They need to win this game. They just have to. They've got. There's no excuse if they lose this game. There's just no excuse. Although Gold Coast are super competitive, and they still are.
Yeah, they
went
are.
over to Perth, which is a really hard road trip.
We didn't-
It'd be the longest road trip, wouldn't it? Gold Coast-
For them,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, in the AFL it would be, wouldn't it?
Yep.
As far as
Yep.
geography shows. Melbourne. Yeah, Melbourne will win by... it won't be that convincing. I think they'll win by 3 or 4 goals.
Yeah, I've put down 25 points.
Yep.
Again, like you said, Gold Coast, they don't really have it, but we really didn't touch enough on West Coast and how unconvincing of a win that was.
Yeah.
And they've been playing some poor footy, and some guys needed to shake it off. Obviously, Gold Coast had some ticker to give. Now, no one really played a great game. I think Jared Harborough was probably their best
Yep.
on the weekend. But they've got more to give. So it'll be interesting to see if at home that they can deliver something. The next game of the round, St Kilda versus West Coast, Marvel Stadium, 7:25 p.m. on Saturday. This is West Coast's chance to make us proper believers if they can come over here and put the Saints away. Who do you think will win this one? By how much and why?
Yet again, it's a have to. West Coast have to win this game. They've had 3 pretty awful weeks of footy, to be honest. They're playing pretty average football. St Kilda on their home deck, they'll want blood. They'll want to come out and win this and prove their worth. Prove that what they did at the start of the season was no fairy tale make believe start. They'll want to get back on the winners list. However, West Coast will come over here with an absolute set plan to execute and just get the 4 points. They just need to keep building their season. To be up there and abouts in the top 4 come end of the year.
Yeah, I think they match up really well with a team like St Kilda. They've got all the right pieces to completely shut them down.
Yeah.
They've got all the good-sized midfielders. I mean, Shuey, Gaff, Marston. They got guys
This
that
is
can...
class.
Yeah, guys like Marston aren't having amazing years, and Shuey's a little bit up and down, although he was pretty good on the weekend. They can easily cover those St Kilda guys that try and run around and cause havoc. Billings, Steele, Jade Gresham, those guys will get covered pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
Tim Membry won't be able to do much against Shannon Hearn, I wouldn't have thought at all. We might almost be left with young Callum Wilkie going up against a tall Eagles forward line. So he might have to take Jack Darling at points. So he'll really struggle with that. So I've got West Coast to come down here. I reckon they'll win. I'm going to give them 40 points. I say that they play a little bit better than what they did last week and that they really grab a hold of the Saints.
Yep.
Now, the last game on Saturday, This game is not televised on free-to-air television. I cannot understand why. This is an absolute blunder by the AFL.
So everyone who doesn't have Foxtel, enjoy watching St Kilda West Coast.
I'm sorry, everyone, but you're going to miss the absolute ripper Adelaide derby. These two are very tightly matched at the moment for me. I think in terms of current form, the last, say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, this could be a classic. Classic alert.
Classic alert.
Classic alert.
Classic showdown. It's showdown time, Bobby.
Who have you got to win and why, Jacko?
I have Port Adelaide to respond after a dismal performance against Collingwood. It's going to be rough. It's going to be tough. It's going to get ugly at times. That crowd, that hostility in Adelaide, that hate, that want to win it at all costs, will come out to play as it always does. It'll be a close. I'm calling classic. Yeah, it's a classic. Oh, I'm with you on that. I nearly made a song and dance about it, but then I just realised I'm calling the same classic as a classic. Anyway, Port for mine. I just think that they're just going to be hungrier than Adelaide, and look what Adelaide, their scoring last week is a cause for concern.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
Freo, are they this brick wall of defence?
Luke Ryan was, but
Yeah,
I mean,
but
ultimately
like in
as a
general,
team, no,
no.
it was turnover city for both.
Yeah,
of them.
absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, Port will win this, and Port will win this by under 10 points.
Yeah, I've got Port winning this too. I think that this was a tough one. I really racked my brain about this. I thought about it a lot. I've got Port winning this. I've written 14 points, and it was only because of Adelaide scoring last week that I'm a little bit concerned about whether Adelaide can kick a score. Because even Port in their loss kicked, what did they kick, 69?
Yep.
Yeah, so, they had a half-decent score against Collingwood because they fought back for quarters where they actually did dominate. So I definitely reckon it's Port. Now, if there's any game where we have to warn fans to not sip too many frothies, Adelaide fans, settle down on the West Ends. Keep your hands not clenched as fists, because this is a game where something can go wrong. You've got enough serial killers in your state. You don't need more headlines about violence. Right, the first game on
Let's hope
Sunday.
they're not selling Bundy rum, because that's game over. That's lights out.
Oh dear, maybe at Ballarat, maybe at Mars Oval. You can grab a Bundy.
Carlton zeros for mine.
Blasphemous!
All right, North taking on Geelong. Marvel Stadium is the first game on a Sunday. This one should be pretty obvious, Jack. Who have you got to win and why?
The Cats will comfortably beat North Melbourne.
How many goals are we talking?
Goals.
Points? Goals?
We're talking about their formidable backs. Robbie Tarrant, Scott Thompson. Nah, forget about it. Geelong by about 6 goals for man.
Yeah.
They'll be clinical again. They won't blow them off the park. I think North Melbourne found a bit of form against Carlton, against Witches Hats. They'll know what works for them after that, and they'll take it right up to Geelong. But Geelong, it'll be a similar sort of, like, they might kick a couple to stay in the game, like Essendon did, but Geelong always had the sort of the measure for the rest of the game. So I just think that they'll beat North.
Yeah, look, I agree. I think obviously the Cats are going to get this done comfortably. I think you're right, though. I think we kicked North a lot last week.
Yeah.
I need to make...
Bash the hell out of them.
We did. And I don't actually feel like we got all that much wrong. We tipped against them, but we both said it might be a close game. We got the measure of where Carlton was at pretty wrong.
Yeah.
And everyone else was obviously in that same
Oh,
mind.
we're all in the wrong.
And that's why everyone's pretty disgraced with how they performed. Now, in terms of North players, I kicked a couple personally. Trent Dumont is one of them that I kicked.
Yeah.
And I did say that he was a C-grade player, and I'll stand by that, but I did say that his best was a B.
Yeah.
What he put up is an A effort. It's an absolute A. So it's really hard for me to knock Dumont on the weekend.
Yeah.
Geelong will win this one only by 3 goals.
Yeah.
I reckon they'll have a comfortable lead and then North might try a little bit of a fight back.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see how that happens. Now, the next game of the round, Hawthorn versus the Giants. Who have you got to win this one and why, Jacko?
I've got Greater Western Sydney to win this one. Now, it is... Is that the MCG? Yeah, I believe it's at the MCG. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's at home for Hawthorn.
It's at home for Hawthorn. Hawthorn have been pretty scrappy, I must say. The new boy, Chad Wingard, that was interesting, wasn't it, on Field Exchange?
Fascinating scenes.
Yeah. Welcome to Hawthorn, Chad. They don't roll like Port do. Yeah, it's not a one-man show at Hawthorn. It's really it's a buy-in team effort, and Chad learned that in public on the weekend. What I see,
Good leadership though
great
from,
leadership
from guys like Puopolo and stuff
Well,
like
they didn't
that.
take it too far. I think Chad had a bit of an immature response. like just from
Yeah,
the
there
body
was-
language.
There was a bit of carry on about
Yeah.
like, what do you mean me?
Yeah.
It was like, come on, mate. You're new to the team. This is their system. Pay
Listen up.
attention.
Yeah. Exactly right. GWS are just a well-oiled machine, and they're just going to keep moving forward. They're poising. They're putting themselves in a really good position to compete really deep this year, and they just need to tick these off. So GWS, my tip.
Yeah, look, for me too, I've got him winning by 6 goals. This is going to be the matchup of the weekend for me. It's James Sicily versus Jeremy Cameron. Absolute matchup of the week.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's hard to see Cameron not getting the silver service from his midfield, considering the weight of talent in theirs versus Hawthorn's midfield. So I really think Sicily will be under the pump most of the day. But that will be a fascinating matchup, because if there's one person who looks perfectly suited to slow down Jeremy Cameron, it's James Sicily.
Yeah, he'll just nag him all day.
All right, last game of the round. It's Fremantle versus Richmond. Who you got, Chaco?
Oh, so Richmond travel to Perth to take on Fremantle. I have Fremantle at home. Fremantle are just they're gonna win another game, and they're just gonna stay in that sort of top 4, top 6 area of the ladder, which is just, I just can't believe. Yeah, I really can't believe it. Like, it's
You said Fremantle to win.
Fremantle will beat Richmond on the weekend.
I can't believe that.
Why? They're
What?
playing at home. Richmond just got pumped by the Dogs. They're undermanned. There's no star power. Their main men are out.
That is blasphemous.
It is not blasphemous. Tell me why. Why is it blasphemous?
I think you're underselling Richmond because your team just beat them.
No, I'm not underselling Richmond because the Bulldogs beat Richmond. I'm underselling Richmond because I'm underselling Richmond. And don't...
Maybe... Okay.
They're not who we all think they are at the moment.
Richmond?
Yeah. Freo will be too strong at home. They will. They're at home. They'll win by 2 or 3 goals. I'm telling you.
Wow, we couldn't be more polar opposites. I have
Yeah,
Richmond.
that's all right. That's
I have
all right.
Richmond winning by...
This is healthy.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is good. I have Richmond
Yeah.
winning by 22 points.
Okay.
I don't think Freo's ladder position is reflective anything at all of the quality of their team.
Yeah. I'm not saying they're going to make finals.
Richmond essentially played the way against you guys that Adelaide played on the weekend, and Adelaide beat them. Fremantle had nothing to offer. What did they kick? 31 points or something.
But new key forward Jesse Hogan's kicked 4 goals for the year.
You know, the thing was, I actually nearly tipped Fremantle last week, so I'm not underrating them. I just think that a team like Richmond, if Geelong had gotten spanked by the Bombers, do you think they would pile on North Melbourne this week? Do you think they'd go harder because they just had a bad loss?
Who?
A team like Geelong.
A team like Geelong. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think
Okay,
Richmond
so
are that
you're
quality.
using that factor that they're going to go over there.
Yeah, I think there's no chance that they turn up and go, oh, this is Fremantle at home, this will be tough. They will say, we are here to murder them.
Yeah.
Right, and we are here to raise our flag again and march back home pretty proud.
Okay.
I think that they did that against Port Adelaide. Right? They've already had to do that 1 or 2 times this year. Right? And they've already done it.
Okay.
So Freo got on a plane in what is their shortest trip, to Adelaide, and kicked 30 points.
Yeah.
So I'm really not that impressed with Freo.
Yeah. I'm going to introduce Jack's Multi to the program. Yes, indeed, Jack's Multi. And it's just a cheeky little free legger if you fancy a cheeky little wager on the weekend.
Give me the first one, mate.
I've got Essendon over 25 points, paying $2.70.
That's cash, people. It's cash money.
I have Essendon defeating Sydney at the SCG. It's paying $2.70 for them to beat them by over 25 points.
Good price.
I've tipped them to win by 27 points.
This last
That's
week
2 above 25, Bobby, if you didn't know.
against Geelong was the first week we really didn't kick a score since we found our form again.
Yeah.
So this is a great pick.
And what's numerology? Is that Cam Mooney's little segment? Numerology, I've tipped Essendon to win by 27 points. They're paying what? $2.70. 2.27. Moving on, I digress. Second leg on the multi. I am going against my tip just because I like the odds. I've got Brisbane winning at Mars against the Dogs, 1-24, so under 24 points. Mm-hmm. It's paying $3.60.
Yeah, it's great value.
That's great value. Yeah. So you tip them by what? 10 points?
10 points.
10
yep.
points. Yeah. So that'll win you. That'll win that leg. And then I've got Port Adelaide at a head-to-head because I can't guess the margin in that one. It's too hard because I don't know what's going to transpire. I've got Port Adelaide at a head-to-head at a juicy $2.10.
Together, what price are you getting, Jacko?
Yes, we are getting... I've actually powered up. If you can power up, I've powered up. So I've added $3.69, I believe, something like that. So it's paying $23.69. Put a little example. If you're having a cheeky little wager, put $10 on it, and you get $236 back.
It's not bad. It's
Yeah,
not bad,
not
mate.
bad at all. But I'm going to roll with Jack's multi until Bobby kicks it off the program. Until then, and as always, gamble responsibly.
All right, well, that wraps up everything to do with footy. Now, we're just going to lead into a little preview for our Around the Globe podcast, where we discuss everything related to other sporting codes outside the greatest one. This week, Jacko,
Yes.
I want you to just take me there, put me in the frame of mind so I can understand what did we see in the Champions League game.
What? Oh my god! What didn't we see? My goodness! So last week, Liverpool travelled down to Barcelona to play at Camp Nou, in front of a fired up Barcelona. World class side, Lionel Messi, arguably the greatest of all time, not just now, but of all time. They played out of their skins, Liverpool, and they still lost 3-0. They played out of their skins and still lost 3-0. Now they had to take that second leg back to Anfield, where their fans you couldn't hear anything. It was unbelievable atmosphere. There's nothing. I don't think in the world of sport there's nothing quite like Anfield when Liverpool are up and about. Now they're 3-0 down, backs against the wall. This is stuff of legends, Bobby. You'll never guess what happened next. Well, you will, because you know. Liverpool were missing their star player Mo Salah, the Egyptian king, the slippery Egyptian, absolute weapon, and Firmino, which is their other elusive goal scorer, absolute weapon. They beat Barcelona 4-0 to eliminate Barcelona in the European Champions League semi-finals, beat them 4-3 on aggregate. How about that? That is...
Yeah, it's the global sporting performance of the week, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to take you right back to the moment where it all transpired.
That's it! History made at Anfield. Barcelona beaten. Liverpool triumphant. Messi mashed on Merseyside. Miracles do happen for Liverpool in Europe, and we've witnessed another one tonight. No Salah, no Firmino, no problem for Liverpool. The most amazing Champions League night this great ground has ever seen. It's the greatest ever semi-final comeback in the history of the competition. Liverpool are into the final, and we will never ever forget quite how they did it.
That's just a remarkable piece of commentary right at the end. Captured the moment absolutely perfectly. Now Liverpool will... Yeah, they'll... Can you believe this, Bobby? So they were 3-0 down on aggregate. They were paying $17 to win the Champions League after that result.
What are they paying now?
$1.47. $1.47.
All right, so I'm
Yeah.
fairly uneducated about what teams are taking part in this.
Yeah.
Who are they up against, or we don't know yet?
Okay, so tomorrow's second semi-final is Ajax, and they'll play host to...
I know Ajax.
Ajax. Good one. Classic Aussie reference there. Pronunciation, sorry. They'll take on Tottenham Hotspur at Ajax. So it's a tough trip for Tottenham. They're down 1-0 in aggregate. They dropped a goal at home. So their backs are against the wall. Me personally, as a football fan, I would love nothing more than two English clubs going toe-to-toe in Madrid for the Champions League trophy, the silverware, on I believe it's early June 3rd, I believe it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but yeah, I'd love to see Tottenham pull the cat out of the hat and get it done.
Guys, you're going to be treated to an epic podcast around the start of June when the NBA Finals kicks off.
Oh.
Me and this man right next to me don't have anything to do because we've taken time away from work and we've got nothing better than to dissect some of these epic global sporting events for you.
Absolutely. And just to finish off with the soccer as well, Melbourne City have been eliminated from the A-League and their coach sacked, Warren Joyce, so they part ways. City fans pretty happy with that. Melbourne Victory are looking to advance to the grand final and go on to win there. I can't even keep up with how many they've won. A few A-leagues.
Well, they're a powerhouse, much
they
like
are.
the Storm, and you know,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Everyone hates them. Yep. But more importantly, English Premier League. It's the last weekend this weekend. Man City got the win. Got the win they much needed. 70th minute, absolute cracker from as it was described, Captain Fantastic.
I saw that. No one came to guard him. No one came to man him up.
Because 9 times out of 10, that's hitting row Z. That is flying over the bar. God, did he hit it sweetly. Captain Vincent Kompany. That is that's stuff of legends. When the skipper needed to stand up, he stood up and scored. And his teammates admitted after the game, they yelled, "Don't shoot, don't shoot!" And he believed in himself, backed himself, and
Nah, stuff you. Follow me.
he might just have put the nail in Liverpool's coffin and won Man City the second title in a row.
I'm sure that makes you happy, mate.
I'm very happy. I'm a City man, and Liverpool have enough to cheer about at the moment, and they still brings a tear of joy to my eye that they're still chasing that elusive Premier League, and a lot of people will disagree and hate on me for that, but next weekend's huge. City just need to draw or win, I believe, to win the league, and that'll cap off what's been an incredible English Premier League season. And might I just add, Bobby, that the Liverpool-Man City battle to the top has changed 31 times this season.
Wow.
So there you go, Bobby. That's enough from me on the round ball side of things. Bobby, it is hot in the States at the moment, like blistering hot. Hit me with that NBA shears.
Well, I'm glad you've got something to be happy about in the EPL, because things aren't that sunny for you on the other side of the
No,
Atlantic.
they're not.
Your Celtics.
Yeah.
We'll just touch on them very quickly. They're getting comprehensively beaten now. I had Brad Stevens as the better coach in this series, but not by much. And Giannis clearly is the best player out of everyone, but again, not by a great deal. I actually had Boston as the slightly better team. Mm-hmm. I thought their defensive mechanisms were great.
Yep.
I thought they'd have matchups for Giannis. It would appear that Jaylen Brown can't match up on him,
Yep.
and that the only person that you do have that's good enough is Al Horford, and it's just not working. Hasn't worked multiple games in a row now, and they're down 3-1. I reckon the Bucks wrap this up pretty comfortably.
Yep.
They're going to wrap this up tomorrow or the next day, and it will be a gentleman's sweep. It'll be 4-1. I don't know how you personally feel about that and what this does to the experiment of it being Kyrie's team and how things change.
Yeah.
But look, going forward, I think Boston needs to admit to itself that having this young wing talent is not enough to win tight playoff series games.
Yeah. Now, the Eastern Conference was a lot weaker last year,
Yeah.
let's be honest. We got as far as the conference finals. We took Cleveland at Game 7. Possibly could have won it, but LeBron was too strong at the time and just knew how to get it done. Look, this hasn't shocked me, this result. Giannis and the Bucks have been unbelievable all year, and the Celtics have just been playing catch-up all year off their own mistakes.
I think the difference in the terms of the makeup of the two teams is, in terms of age,
Yeah.
they're actually relatively similar.
Yes.
But in terms of starting five, it's not.
Yeah.
So when the Bucks put out their, some more seasoned guys like Lopez and Bledsoe, sure, they're matched and probably bettered by Horford and Kyrie, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's the veterans around that come in and chip in. George Hill's been enormous in this series. It was nearly career over for this guy, and he's reinvigorated himself. Mirotic is a really handy guy to have, bouncing around. And then their young guy like Pat Connaughton is just doing his job.
Yep.
They're still without Malcolm Brogdon, who is a definite starting five for them all season. I really just think Boston has to admit that, one, Tatum's not strong enough to go down into the post and defend properly at all.
Yeah.
He can get a chase down block, but that's about it. Jaylen Brown is definitely strong enough, but again, he's not going to be good enough against someone like Giannis. I don't know if anyone's good enough to defend someone like Giannis.
Yeah.
But it worked in one game. They built the wall, Giannis adapted, and they've done absolutely everything right since. So, yeah, I see the Bucks wrapping this up, and unfortunately, your mob's going to have to decide what they do with the future. Now, in a couple of the other games...
A lot of angry Celtics fans, just quietly.
Fair enough.
Yeah, they I've seen a lot of, we're a team city, we're not a one-player city, it's time to move Kyrie Irving on.
Well, look, he shot 8 in game 3,
Yeah.
he shot 8 from 22.
Yeah.
He sat there afterwards and said, "You will not see another 8 for 22 game."
Yeah.
He shot 7 from 22.
Ugh.
Yeah, this is a problem. Some other commentators and NBA, inside the NBA boys have rightfully said, you wanted to put the big boy pants on, you wanted a team to yourself, you got a team, a talented team with a great coach, and here you are.
Yeah.
You're up against stiff elite competition, unique players, and he's a great player, Kyrie. But is he, LeBron was unique, Giannis is unique,
Yeah.
Durant's unique, Kawhi's unique, Steph's unique. He can't stop any of those guys.
Yeah.
And his teammates aren't good enough either to stop them, right? So he's come undone against superstar talent. He's going to face that problem no matter where he goes, unless he teams up with someone. So be interesting to see what he does. The Raptors up against Philly. I just mentioned him, Kawhi Leonard. This man is hot. Everyone spoke about it. He was running at 38 points per game on 60% shooting. Not many people have ever done that. In fact, no one has ever done that. Now, today's game, he cooled off a little bit. He went down and he had 21 points, I believe it was.
Yep.
Slightly less of a percentage. I think it was below 50%. So things even out a little bit for him. But, it helps when guys like Ben Simmons have horrible games. Last game, in game 3, obviously, game 4, Joel Embiid was a bit sick. And he had that wussy excuse of, I've been throwing up all night. Well, mate, the greatest player that ever lived had one of his greatest games with the flu. We literally call it a flu game. Michael Jordan went ham. That's who you have to be if you want to win playoff games. You got to be the guy that does it no matter what.
Would you put Ben Simmons in this category?
Cold as ice.
He's the Josh Shackey of the NBA. Box Hill Benny will know who that is too. He'll know the comparison. He should be
Oh,
insulted.
you're about to go blasphemous.
Yeah, I love Ben Simmons. I think he's an absolute star, right? But he's got a lot to figure out. He's acting like he's already a top 10 player. And for me, I don't think he's a top 20.
Yeah.
I think winning a playoff series or being able to lead your team single-handedly really contributes to your star power. So you're good enough to make an all-star, mate. No one's going to deny that, but a regular season number counts for donuts in a 7-game series. We've seen that a little bit in the Nuggets-Portland series. Nuggets won Game 5 today. They lead 3-2. Damian Lillard, who'd been red hot, has come up against a pretty imposing backcourt defense in Gary Harris and Jamal Murray, and they've slowed him down. CJ McCollum's probably been the best player for the Blazers in terms of scoring-wise. Dame's obviously a threat, and they're trying to get the ball out of his hands. That's interesting. I think that the Blazers will go back to Portland and they'll tie that series, and then we'll be going to Game 7, baby. I can't wait for Game 7. Now, the other one, I'm just going to ask your opinion on this quickly. The Warriors-Rockets, they're tied 2-2. We get a game tomorrow, so this will be fascinating. Where do you see this going?
James Harden was huge.
He
That
was
was awesome, man.
38 in the last game, yeah.
Yeah.
And Kevin Durant got pretty chippy. He clipped Chris Paul a couple of times.
Yes.
He was starting to
Getting frustrated.
proper easy money sniper.
Unraveling. And Steph, arguably a bit cold as ice.
Well,
bus.
I don't know if he's
cold as ice or like lukewarm.
Look, he's definitely lukewarm.
Yeah.
4 from 14 in the last game from beyond the arc. But the entire team, I think they were 8 from 33.
Yeah.
So the rest of his teammates put up 4 from 19.
Yeah.
Those are horrible.
So we're up to
numbers.
Game 6, aren't we?
No, we're up to Game 5.
Game 5.
It's
okay.
tomorrow, so
Yeah.
they're tied 2-2 at the
So
moment.
that's back at Oracle.
Yeah, look, the Warriors have had 2 shooting slumps.
Yeah.
In the last 2 games. Credit to the Houston Rockets defense, but the Warriors are clearly in a shooting slump. Klay Thompson had one of his worst games I've ever seen. Forget playoffs.
Yeah.
Ever seen last game. So that's what it took. It took Steph and the rest of the team to not be able to hit a shot. Klay Thompson to effectively do nothing. James Harden to score 38. I don't think they can... Series is tied. Now it's best 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Man, if you were ever going to back a team to win 2 out of 3, you'd back this Warriors team.
Yes.
Maybe out of, every team other than Prime Jordan and the Bulls, I would back this team to win 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
So, I just can't wait. I'm honestly, I'm tickled pink. I can't wait for the matchups that are going to come next round. If it plays out the way I think, we'll have the Raptors versus the Bucks, and that'll be Kawhi, who can stop any man on a basketball court, up against the man who is unstoppable.
Oh, you can't stop LeVar Ball. You know what?
Never lost.
Never lost.
Oh dear. So well, that wraps up the NBA.
Absolutely. Now, yeah, it's been a great show. I've enjoyed absolutely every moment of it. We've touched on pretty much everything from round 7. Round 8, round 8 looms as quite possibly another interesting round in the AFL story for season 2019. Can't wait to touch on Champions League football next week when Ajax and Tottenham. But yeah, thanks everyone.
Bye.